everyone. Welcome to the weekly recap. A few big topics, really, and they kind of all connect to each other.
Yeah.
So Microsoft's earnings came out for basically Q1 of 2018. So they just started their 2018 after July. And
now all these companies have completely different fiscal years.
Weird
which is funny.
fiscal years.
Yeah.
I was like, 2018, did I read that right? And then I realized that their fiscal year did just end, which was when they announced all the big changes.
Mm-hmm.
So they came out with their first quarter, and impressive number was 21% growth in Xbox software and services.
Yeah, lots of information there, but obviously we want to focus on the gaming aspect of that since that's what we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 21%, very impressive.
Growth in software and services.
Software and services. We are going to specify some things.
Yeah, so now a lot of people are like trying to say that it's bad, but hardware for Xbox flat.
That's what they're trying to say is bad.
Which they're trying to say is bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people are trying to say is bad. But that's actually really impressive because we have very prominently known new hardware coming, like, now.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that this last quarter was flat revenue for hardware is actually really impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So that means that their whole plan with the Xbox One S is working exactly the way they want
S
it to.
and X. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them. So being flat as you lead up to such a big launch, they should be in the negative. They should
not
be
only that,
down from last year's hardware.
I would expect it to be quite a bit down, actually. Not only that, you got to factor in the fact that they let everyone know at the same time on
that both
E3,
of those were coming, which got a lot of criticism too.
2 E3s ago.
Yeah.
So
we've known for a long time.
So you would think that gamers would just be holding their breath and be like, I'm not going to buy anything for a while.
And a lot of them are. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I mean, I actually kind of expected like 20% down.
Yeah.
Because everyone's waiting right now. So obviously everyone's not waiting right now. Mm-hmm. And what I think that is new people coming to the Xbox ecosystem with the S.
Mm-hmm. All those people buying 4K TVs, they're walking out with S's as well.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Gaming revenue as a whole, 1% growth.
So that's the strange thing that you kind of have to pick apart and say. So the 21% was what exactly? That mentioned.
Is Xbox software and services. So Xbox Live and then Xbox games.
Yes, Xbox Live, Xbox games, the things that we always talk about that that we're paying attention to that we think are doing really, really well.
And people are saying are dying.
People are saying are bad. I think that's very strong proof that even in this time where everyone was waiting and holding their breath for the X, the number's still climbing. It's still going up.
The hardware console number is climbing.
But then that makes you wonder, why is it, as a whole, gaming for Microsoft only at 1%?
Who's holding it back? Someone's majorly holding that number.
What there in the Microsoft space is holding it back? And I think, pretty obviously, if Xbox is doing that well, Xbox Live is doing that well, software is doing amazingly, that leaves PC. Yeah. The very thing that we've always talked, you go back to our first videos, the very thing that we always talked about here, PC is the thing holding everything else back. PC is struggling.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because if you read, there was the transcription of
so when I read the earnings transcript, in the earnings transcript, anytime that a company comes out and does their earnings, somebody is paid to sit there and type word for word everything that everybody says.
Yeah.
And the CEO of Microsoft, every time he referenced gaming, he listed off all of them and actually led with PC. PC, Xbox, and mobile. PC, Xbox, and PC over and over and over. Mm-hmm. They kept mentioning PC, and we've been talking a lot about the Play Anywhere and the cross-platform and all these initiatives that seem to be getting a lot of money and attention. That's not the first place we've seen that recently.
Yeah, definitely.
So Shannon Loftis did an interview recently and continuously talked about PC as well. Sometimes when questions were posed about Xbox
gaming,
first-party studios for Xbox and things like that were warranting PC answers like, we have Age of Empires and Rise of Nations.
I saw that.
And we've said it a million times, but why keep driving the Play Anywhere initiative? And she actually said, this is probably my favorite quote that I have today, although there are some contenders. Mm-hmm. So here's her direct quote about Play Anywhere.
I can't wait for this.
Okay. I'll tell you the truth. That's always good when somebody starts with that.
This time we're going to be honest for just a moment.
I'll tell you the truth. Okay, stop recording for a second, but I'll tell you the truth. So I'll tell you the truth. Most of the time, what we're seeing is people buy a game on console, they'll try it out on PC and maybe go back to console.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll buy it on PC, give it a shot on console, then go back to PC.
Talking about the Play Anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
By and large, I think just knowing that you're safe no matter which device you want to enjoy that content on has been a net positive.
Which
I think, she says.
I think
I think that's been a net positive.
So I don't know what it says to you. You can tell me what you think here in a second. But what everything she just said to me sounds like spin. It sounds like you're trying to spin this as a good thing when it's actually somehow maybe even negatively affecting
Leeching, yeah. It's
your brand
from your good stuff.
and your profits.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much.
What do you get from what she just said?
I got two things out of it. Once
Okay.
I kind of stopped laughing because it really is pretty funny that was the quote that she
that
had
is-
about Play Anywhere. That's exactly what we've been saying. People who are console or console.
Well, then the I think is kind of qualifying.
Yeah. So
it a little
the
bit.
first thing that I
Yeah.
thought was funny was, the I think, and then what is the net positive? Like usually when we hear net positive, that means a plus sign in front of money.
No, we're just talking about like in your mind.
Just in general,
positive.
like net positive. What is the
She
definition
just means
of
like
that
it's
here?
positive
It's
to
just
have.
yeah.
that.
I mean, when you take this and you take that and you subtract them and you add them, it's positive. Like, what is your definition of positive? And then the I
1%
think in
positive.
front of that was hilarious. I was just like, oh goodness, we're thinking things that we're putting millions.
Well,
of
no,
dollars
I
into.
see what you're saying about the I think, but I think she's just trying to qualify the statements a little bit. And,
Yeah, it's a very relative statement,
Yeah.
and it's very. But yeah, I mean, in general, to me, it's very much what we think Xbox
What we
Play
suspect.
Anywhere is,
Yeah.
and people who
Well,
are
not just to
console
beat
are
up,
clearly
not just to
console.
beat up on Play Anywhere, because we do have some people that we interact with that say that they're able to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
They're not taking that away. They can't introduce
No.
something like that and then say
Yeah.
you guys are screwed.
they
That's
just
not.
keep trying to make it sound like it's really amazing and just everybody loves it. It's a really cool program for certain people, and we have a couple of people who follow our content and
Yes.
really like it.
And they like it. And it's good
And
for them.
there's
and it
always
works.
going to be a small percentage of people that really benefit from a feature like that. It's just interesting that they keep talking about it like it's one of their biggest selling features, and most people don't feel that way.
Yeah,
about it.
most people that we interact with, both on social media and just people that aren't even involved at all with any of those things,
Yeah.
they all say the same thing. They're not able to do it. She said it herself. If anybody does try it out, they try it out.
They try it out.
And then they go back to what they want to do,
and they
their
revert
platform.
to their normal platform.
Yeah.
And I mean, in general, and you and I have talked about this in the past, it seems like if you just take everything, it seems like people are moving away from their PCs.
Oh, absolutely.
To their couches. And I think
Definitely.
the 21% Xbox growth with a 1% gaming growth, and keeping
it
in
all.
mind hardware for Xbox flat, so it didn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
That did not pull them down.
Mhm.
So where did the 20% go?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
so then we have more people who are actually like leaving their desk behind
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
going to their console that haven't before.
Yeah. I mean,
Those are the people buying Xbox One S's right now.
I remember, I think it was 2012, might have been 2011, getting into like a big, huge debate about PC gaming versus console gaming and where things are going in the future. And I was trying to predict some of the trends that are now happening
Yeah.
back then. And I had all these PC guys coming at me, and they were basically just saying that I was crazy, that PC is not dying. I was saying that even back then. I said PC
Yeah.
is dying. They're moving away from that.
Yeah.
It's so expensive to build the kind of rig that you need to have to game on the level of even, not even talking about the X. Let's not even bring that into the equation.
Right.
Even just the S and the Pro, just on that level,
Yep.
it's expensive to have that going.
It's
And-
expensive to sit in an
and upkeep.
uncomfortable chair like you did all day at work.
Yeah, yeah. And so they were trying to say that, console gaming is holding it back. I was like, nope, it's PC gaming holding it back. If anything, that tech is going to eventually die off. Now, I'm not saying like computers, because obviously we have supercomputers in our pockets now.
Yeah.
We're all carrying them around. No, that's going to continue to advance. There's going to be wearable tech. There's going to be holographic tech that's not even something you hold necessarily.
Yeah.
A lot. If you research some of the patents that some of these companies are working on,
Yeah.
some of the AI stuff they're working on, this is not something physical that you build and put in your room anymore.
No.
So some of that stuff is really impressive. That's where all that stuff is going to go, and people will stop sitting at their discs. They will get away from this idea of being 18 inches away from your screen and having to use these, archaic technology in the tech world. Keyboard and mouse has been around for a very long time.
Very long time.
So I mean, I think people are definitely moving away from that, and it's interesting that you read between the lines in some of these transcripts, some of these interviews, And what are they saying instead? What is Microsoft beating?
PC.
Yes, they're beating a dead horse with this PC thing, and it's like
It's crazy.
It's at what point in time do you just go, all right, it's time to focus on some other things.
To Xbox.
I do have a theory about all that, and it ties into something we're going to talk about towards the end of the video as well. But my theory is that they're completely aware of this. I think they have the analytics that show exactly what you and I are saying, exactly what we've been saying.
They've got to.
Yeah. And I think the reason why, in every breath, in every answer to every question, they keep saying PC over and over again, is because they're actually trying to stop the bleeding there a little bit. They're actually trying to slow down the rate at which people move away from these types of things.
Yeah, they're trying to bring the newer tech to the PC so that they create this kind of option of being in front of the same old PC. Because really, that's Microsoft in a
look at
nutshell.
Windows. Windows is shrinking, right? It's
Windows is dying.
It's not growing anymore as it always was before. It was always growing and growing, infinite growth. Now it's not infinite anymore. It's starting to shrink. Yeah. And some of their other things, cloud technology. Cloud, what is cloud? Obviously, you need to have it on servers, so technically PCs, but it's not really a physical thing.
It's not physical. It's not tied to a wall. I mean, a traditional
in your house.
PC is tied to a wall, which is a pretty old idea.
And then gaming. They upgraded the gaming thing this year by promoting, one of their own to one of the executive seats. Yeah. So they're focusing on the right things. They're going to move further in those two sectors, gaming and cloud, and some of the other things they do as well that are tied to those two things. And I do believe in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years, possibly faster, you'll see them not mention PC in every interview the way Shannon Loftis was talking about.
I hope
PC in an interview that's about Xbox gaming. That's a really interesting
thing.
Head
of game studios for Xbox.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the funny thing. I don't know if you remember this or saw this, but I made a comment on Twitter one day about my Surface, which I love, but I have this because of work. This is my work computer. Yeah. And I can't wait at the end of the day to get away from this and to my couch.
As much as you love it.
As much as I love it. Yeah. This is the coolest piece of tech besides my Xbox that I own. But I don't play games on it. And Microsoft Surface, their Twitter, actually commented to me when I complimented the Surface. Yeah. And they were like, do you use it for gaming? And, they probably looked at my Twitter and definitely thought, oh, yeah, you're gaming on that thing. And I was like, no. And then I started to think about it, and I was like, they're probably, fishing everywhere for this. They're trying to figure out, are people using our Surface? So Surface grew 12%, which is interesting in a lot of ways, because if gaming software grew 21% and Surface grew 12%, they just launched an expensive new Surface.
Yeah, two
just launched it. Throughout the quarter, they were selling that. So that's powerful on the gaming end, that gaming beat it by almost double.
Well, I think you'll see more of the positive effect over the next year.
Oh, I'm sure.
For the Surface thing. And then, of course, people that are pro-PC and anti-us will probably say, well, look at this proof that PC is not dying.
Yeah.
You see little jumps here and there.
But it shouldn't be growing less than gaming
it
in any
shouldn't
quarter,
be
especially
holding
a launch
back,
quarter.
It shouldn't be holding back gaming at Microsoft. No. Not a $600 billion company. No way. They just got upgraded from, remember, they used to be a $500 billion. Now we know they're up to 600, and they're on pace to be either the second or third company to hit $1 trillion. I mean, how much do you want to have that anchor there?
But it's all in their cloud.
Yeah.
Everything they keep talking about, they keep hitting their metrics for their services in cloud.
Yeah.
So that's
PUBG.
crazy.
They're putting that.
They're putting
on the
PUBG on the Azure cloud, which was a big announcement for considering it was mentioned in earnings as being a big thing. And that's the direction that they're going.
Definitely, yeah.
The only other interesting thing, really, from that interview with Shannon Loftis was the comment that she made about
the last question that they asked.
The last question. Yeah. They asked, and I don't have the question sitting in front of me, but I do have her answer. They asked something about, where are we going with some of these stories? Where are some of the narratives going? And she says something interesting about Quantum Break. She says, I think Quantum Break is a really good example of a world and a phenomenon where there's still a lot of story that we can tell.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Really interesting, considering that most people think there's not a second Quantum Break.
Yeah.
ReCore, yeah. So she talked a little bit about ReCore Definitive Edition, which is known. We all know that happened. And then mentions this thing about Quantum Break, and I felt like Quantum Break was getting a sequel.
It kind of felt like it. Yeah, it's weird that she would mention those two games.
Yeah,
even though
telling.
Everyone's currently asking for Rise 2 and Sunset Overdrive 2, they're not really
They don't
moving
seem
forward
to be,
with
yeah.
anything with those two games. But it's interesting that they would mention these other two games, especially Quantum Break, because we felt like that was dead.
Like it didn't do well, so
Yeah.
it wasn't coming back. So I mean, the fact she mentioned that.
That would be a very weird
That's
thing to talk about in an interview, and then nothing ever happened there.
If nothing's going to happen there.
Yeah.
She has to know something's happening with
Yeah.
Quantum Break.
I would
to be
imagine
allowed
it
to
would,
say
if
that.
there is anything in development, I would imagine it's definitely a different developer, not Remedy Games.
Yeah.
If they have something like that. They've been known to buy IP from whoever originally first created, and then
Move
give
it to somebody that they want
another
to make it.
studio that's a little snappier, that's a little faster at getting games out. So
Yeah.
we could see that in the future.
Would be very interesting.
Mhm.
On the same day, Ryan McCaffrey, IGN, Xbox guy, IGN, tweets out, seemingly in response to the interview article being released, although I certainly can't prove that. He tweets out this: "Are Bethesda, Nintendo, and Sony the last three major publishers still publicly committed to / focused on campaign first story driven games?" I'm about to start laughing and I'm totally not done. Then he comments to himself, 1. Remember, I mean major pubs.
Major pubs.
2. That's not to say other pubs don't make SP games. They do.
Single player games.
But I'm talking about a focus and commitment. He's got a bunch of caps in
Focus
here.
and
He's
commitment.
yelling and screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Focus and commitment.
All right, so first of all,
Talk about relative speech.
Well, yeah, but does the guy not understand the way Twitter works? You're supposed to get that. How many characters is it? Like 120?
It's supposed to be 140. If you're not one of the new and important people that gets
Yeah.
208. Apparently he's not, because he's still commenting to himself.
And it's just this long, complicated. We've seen this before. You know,
and
when
he said focused, committed to / focused on twice. Like I mean, that's like 40 letters right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he comments to himself to qualify his comment further.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever
pulled a
noticed
Shannon
this.
Loftis.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but he always seems to, when he wants to criticize Microsoft, because I'm sorry, but saying Bethesda, Nintendo, and Sony, that's
weird.
aimed at Microsoft, especially if
strange.
it's a day that they said something about Microsoft.
Yeah.
And so he qualifies it so many times that you can't say he's wrong.
Yeah. Because
it has to be his definition of focus and commitment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Public focus and commitment. But I mean, let's talk about Microsoft and what they have coming, story-driven, single-player wise, right? So we just got Recore, and not too long before that was Quantum Break. Super Lucky's Tale.
It's coming out on the 7th.
About
with
to
the
land,
X.
right? Yeah. And then State of Decay 2 is coming.
We're talking about single-player games.
We're talking about single-player, campaign,
State of Decay-
story-driven
State of Decay 2.
State of Decay 2.
Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3.
And I know it has a multiplayer mode, but that's not really the center focus
That's
of
not
Crackdown.
the center. I mean, it's still a story-driven campaign first
You can still
game.
play it by yourself.
And you know
go through the
what?
campaign.
2 of the major franchises are also campaign first, story-driven. And if you wanted to argue to the other side, you could say they're multiplayer games. Halo and Gears are not. That's not the way they're designed.
Yeah.
They're designed for their story.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the problem? Again?
It's weird that you would continue as, the guy that runs the Xbox podcast. I think we know he's not an Xbox guy.
Oh yeah.
At this point
we
in
know
time.
An Xbox guy just simply would say nothing.
To find every little opportunity you can take to try to say that they're not doing the same things that Nintendo and Sony are doing. And we've compared this before.
And they are. They're
all
doing
those companies are basically releasing between 2 and 3, and those are on good years.
Yep.
Single player.
And Microsoft has a lot of years that they release more than others.
That has happened. Yeah, definitely.
So it's really weird. It's like we were sitting here getting ready for the video, and we were counting up the story-driven games for Nintendo, Sony, Bethesda, and Microsoft.
And it's all very
and it was
close.
all equal.
Yeah.
So
they're off by like one each a year.
And that's totally fine, but how are you the Xbox guy and you tweet a question like that? I mean, that's the thing. That's really the problem, is you're trying to get that response.
The other thing is, like, we've asked that a million times, but, like, the other thing is the X is coming out. There's a lot of stuff to be hyped about.
You should be hyping all these things that are coming from
excited.
Microsoft.
They probably received them there at IGN, I would imagine. So,
and
what's going on with that?
Nothing about that. When I went to get these quotes, I went to his Twitter, and there was nothing positive about X coming at all.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
Yeah.
One other semi-major topic. So PSVR is getting an upgrade. It's getting a new model.
Yeah, it is definitely. That's a very interesting thing there. So that ties into kind of a little bit what I was saying a little bit about wanting, and this is just me as a gamer talking now. A lot of the times when we're doing this, I'm really trying to be not so much my personal opinion, because you know me. Yeah. My personal opinion is actually way out there. It's very extreme.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cuss words and a lot of stuff like that we don't do on this show.
Right. We try to keep it tame.
We try to keep everything in perspective and put things in perspective and try to.
And we try to think of everything in the way that it really is presented, rather than having our own opinions.
Yes.
On it. Like, we really are presenting
Definitely.
it the way that it is.
But my own opinion, my viewpoint, my standpoint, the thing that I'm talking about on Twitter all the time is.
Yeah.
Can we move away from Microsoft? Can we move away from this PC focus? Can you just divert a little bit of the resources, time, and energy
to
that all
you
guys,
revenue.
all those people are trying to shove it down the Xbox gamers' throats? Can we just stop that for a moment and focus on some of the other things that they're actually asking for, some of the games they're asking for?
Yeah.
Same thing with Sony. Now, Sony's pushing this VR. This is iteration number 2 already. Yeah. All right? VR is dead. Now, we all know, we all looked at all the numbers. They expected to sell this many million in this many months this first year. Yeah. It not even close, not even a quarter of what those things were. We heard from Jez, shout out to Jez at Windows Central, on a podcast, I believe it was Crossfire recently, where he said that last year, Windows Phone, which has been dead for a while now, sold more than all VR combined, not just PSVR. So that should tell you.
I mean, wow.
VR is not doing well.
That's the public opinion. And here goes Sony. Oh, maybe we just had a few too many cords. We'll make a new one.
We'll take away one cord.
The general one cord.
We'll take away one cord.
General impression, though.
We'll idiot-proof it for the guys at IGN. Maybe they don't break it this time.
When they're doing their unboxing, saying how great it is.
And we'll go from there. Here's my wish for Sony. I want Microsoft to do those things.
Yeah.
I want Sony to focus on the PS5, right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on
games.
the future. Let's push this technology a little bit more forward. Maybe then revisit, AR or mixed reality or whatever's going to happen after VR.
Yeah.
And then see where things are in the next 5 years. But if they're not focused on the PS5 right now, if it's not in development, we've learned through all the iterations of all these consoles that the average development time, and we're talking about R&D, is 3 to 5 years for a lot of these devices.
They already have to be halfway through this.
Nintendo talked about the Switch in 2012. They said that they were working on the next thing after the Wii U already. Yeah. It's 2017, so you got to do the math there. If they're not working on the PS5, if Sony isn't, that's a big problem if they're betting on this horse, this PSVR horse. It actually reminds me a lot of Microsoft's mistakes with the Kinect. Go back to 2010. They put a lot of focus on that. And they delayed the next generation. And Sony was doing similar.
And people were upset that they weren't getting what they wanted because of the Kinect, and now people are upset that they're not getting what they want.
And then they boxed it in.
VR.
The last thing that Sony should do is box in PSVR with the PS5. Let's focus on power, because that's what everybody cares about now, even though they say they don't. Let's focus on pushing things a little bit forward technology-wise.
And let's focus on Ryan McCaffrey's wish of single-player, story-driven.
Nothing but single-player, because there's not enough of those, even though I have 20 of them on my backlog right now.
Need more.
Yeah.
We need more. And it's, it's just sad. It's like, we know that PlayStation drives the revenue of Sony, not the revenue of PlayStation.
Yeah.
The revenue of Sony. Sony's struggling in a lot of other areas. PlayStation keeps Sony afloat.
Yeah.
So why would they not be listening to the numbers and the people?
They spent a lot of money in the R&D process.
And now they're spending more money trying to rationalize it.
Yeah.
And
they're trying to make it back. They can make it back on the software. If software explodes and you start selling a couple million copies of each PSVR title that comes out, they will actually make all the money they have spent on it back. They will pretty quickly. But that's just not happening. There's not that many people buying it. No. If people aren't buying the hardware, they're definitely not buying the software. It doesn't make any sense for them to do that. So they should. I hate to say it, but they should cut their losses there.
At some point, you have to.
The X is coming out here in a week, and I think a lot of people are going to take a look at it that normally wouldn't, that don't even like Microsoft. There's a lot of Microsoft hate out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to begrudgingly end up getting it because it's basically this, this really powerful rig, essentially,
Yeah.
in a tiny little box.
And it doesn't seem like the other side who can make a rig like that is making one.
Yeah, well, I'm sure
From
Sony's
what
got,
we can tell. I mean,
they have to have something.
they've got to have something going, but they're telling us about their new VR.
Push a new VR instead.
And they're not telling us about their new console. So I hope that they do have one in development, but it's definitely not something that they're putting a big focus on. They're continuing to.
Yeah.
And how much did they have to put into R&D for the second one?
Yeah, there's no telling it. Hopefully they figured out a way to save some money on some of those costs, but they've been discounting it so much they're losing money when they sell it. So they have to sell a certain amount of copies of software to make the money back that they lose. And again, it's just this ever going process of, well, now we got to do this. Well, now we got to push that for another year, just to make back your money. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So you got Microsoft pushing PC, you got Sony pushing
PSVR.
Hilariously. And meanwhile, we're just
And meanwhile, gamers are just not buying it. Literally.
Thank goodness for the Xbox software and service growth, because...
Well, thank goodness for Bethesda and Sony and Nintendo.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have any games right now. Yeah. So Nintendo's had what this year? 2 really big titles?
Yeah, and nothing last year.
And then they re-released Mario Kart. We're not bashing Nintendo. We love Nintendo.
Yeah,
Mario
we love
Odyssey
Nintendo, but
just
they're not
amazing.
any better than anybody else, nor is Bethesda, nor is Sony. They're all pretty equal. We counted them up, and everybody had the same thing, so it's just an interesting comment.
It is.
So we are going to be... We have our new G4G shirts.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Williams. I have a couple shout outs, actually.
Yeah, I'm wearing it. Yes, we are the lame channel that's wearing our own
shirts. G4G.
Yeah.
To support Jay Williams.
To support Jay Williams, definitely. He surprised us with these shirts. We didn't.
He did.
We didn't ask him.
He surprised us with the intro, which is awesome. He surprised us with the shirts, so we bought them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I got it on. I'm gonna take off my Guardians of the Galaxy,
which is also pretty cool.
Hoodie jacket that a VIP that works there in Hollywood gave me. You can tell he's a VIP because he says, instead of frames per second, he says FIPS. It's a Hollywood thing.
That's a Hollywood.
It hasn't quite hit the gaming world yet.
Soon.
So he gave me this. But the shirt,
pretty cool.
It's an awesome shirt. I might have gone a little too small. Not sure if you guys can see it.
Pretty cool.
So I might have to... get the bigger size, Jay. If you want to send me that would be
that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
And we have one.
Yeah, we have one that nobody's worn. We'll keep it that way.
It still has the printing smell on it and everything for you.
Yeah.
And if you watch our Twitters, we're gonna do a giveaway on Twitter, right?
Yes, that's the thing. Like I did a post on Twitter, and I think people didn't understand what I was trying to say. I don't know how to do giveaways.
I don't either.
Like I know there's something
kind of complicated, but there's some way that
there's
you
something
can
called
hit a retweet
Gleam
thing.
Yeah, and there's something called Tweet Draw, right?
I think so. So you have to use a service for it. But if you know anything about that,
please let us know. Yeah,
how to actually physically do a Twitter giveaway, because we don't know that. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure we could Google it, but if you have experience and you have a suggestion, one versus another, that's what I'm looking for.
A lot of people do giveaways, so I'm hoping somebody kind of can...
Yeah, we actually have games. We have quite a few games to give away. We have codes. Yep. We have a bunch of weird...
We got our T-shirt. We got all kinds of things.
A bunch of other weird little things, that we can give away in the future as well. So
follow us on Twitter. Our handles are always in the description. So you can follow us on Twitter, watch for our giveaways.
We'll do a link. I think we'll do a link to the shirt.
Yeah.
And then
we'll also buy those from Jay Williams as well.
We'll also do a link to the push to get Sunset Overdrive 2 made as well.
Yeah.
You can go and vote.
There's a campaign going for
the user voice website for Microsoft. You can vote on that. That's hopefully they can get that going.
That would be awesome.
I've heard people say that
above 3,000. So.
Yeah, up above 3,000 right now. I've heard people say you need 50,000, but I think actually Microsoft, for them to take notice, I think it's probably closer to 200,000, 250,000. So.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So share that everywhere as well.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one more shout out, which is for Easy E.
Yeah.
Easy E.
Easy E or Easy Man.
Easy E
Man. Or Easy E Man 77.
Easy E Man 77.
I think it could be that.
We know about the 77. We got that part.
Yeah. I added him on Xbox Live the other day, and the first time I did it, it was the wrong person. So that was interesting. I think what happened was there were 76 other Easy E Mans, and they all failed.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that's been successful
77,
so far.
The Easy.
He's been supporting us. He's
supported us forever
since the beginning. Yeah, I don't even know how he found us, but
I don't either. But he shares all of our stuff. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Shout out to him.
Greatly appreciate everybody like that.
Greatly appreciate the support. We love your comments. So the camera cut off. Apparently, so when we started doing this, I had the shock of my life when I found out that apparently there's some kind of limitation on these cameras, like an international law that says you can't make video for more than 30 minutes.
On this very specific type of camera that we have. So.
On this camera that's kind of expensive and not really something you're just going to snap your finger and replace. So what I was trying to say is we love your comments. So leave us a comment. Let me know what you think about this. What do you think about Shannon Loftis' comments? What do you think is pulling down the gaming growth at Microsoft? I think we might know. Yeah. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you turn the little bell on, you'll know when we drop a video.
Definitely, yeah. Vote in the Sunset Overdrive 2 thing if you can. Share it on social media.
We've both
Not
put
just
it
Twitter.
on our Twitters. So
obviously, all the people that we all connect with on Twitter already see that stuff, so that doesn't really make sense
Put it on like your Facebook or somewhere else, but you can get the link on either of our Twitters. We've posted it a couple times.
Definitely, there's some comment sections where you can post links and stuff like that. That would be a good place to do it. If you want to see that game, if you don't care about it, then of course not. That's pretty much it.
That's it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for watching.